What's a fact that feels illegal to know? The ducks at the local pond are free. You can just walk up and take them. I've got 6 in my house right now. You can buy mushroom spores off the internet legally and grow them illegally. When a couple divorces in the US, you can legally change your name for either no charge or a very small one. You don't have to pick the same name you used to have and can change it to anything you want. This works for men and women in most places. Near my school, there is a vending machine. My friend told me that sometimes, when you come up to it and press the button to return money can actually drop because some people just forget to get their change. This cheat actually works. I know the combinations to the safes at my former place of work. The administrator wanted one trustworthy person on the staff to know the combinations in case he was not available when they needed to be opened, and I was his choice. Since then, the combinations haven't been changed, even though I requested it. Although I never step foot in the building anymore, it makes me feel uneasy that, if ever there were a theft, my name would be on the short list of those knowing the combinations. I don't know if this is universal, but at least where I live, if you produce your own electricity and you consume less than you produce, the utility company pays you for the unused wattage. My dad's an extremely minimalistic, off-the-grid kind of guy, and it often happens to him. If you go to see a movie at the end, you can hide in the bathroom and wait to see a new movie you didn't pay for. When leaving a store, you are not required to stop for the receipt checkers, unless you are at a membership store with a rule about it, like Costco. There was one time when I bought a large dog bed at Walmart. I honestly forgot the receipt, left it at self-checkout. An employee chased me to the door, shouting for my receipt. She tore the dog bed from my arms, shoved it into an empty cart nearby, stood in front of the cart to block me, and said that she would be happy to watch it while I went back to look for the receipt. At any store where I worked, we were not allowed to chase people and grab items like that. If you break out of prison in the US, the best country to flee to is Vanuatu. They have no obligation to send you back. The US has no right to go there to get you. The country is a tax haven. 80% of the population speaks English, and it's a tropical paradise. There are a lot of wild growing and store-bought plants that are fairly common and will kill people, some of them untraceable, unless you specifically search for it. Growing up, my mom taught me to forage. She also taught me to identify poisonous plants. There are a lot of poisonous plants. There's lots to that are part edible and part poison. Foraging is scary for this reason. A buddy of mine used to set up computer systems for companies all over the US. All of the servers had a modem that could be dialed into with the same 8-digit password. He complained about this egregious security flaw for years to management to no avail. Eventually, they fired an employee and weird things started happening to customer systems all over. Their customer service was overrun, and they had to stop all new customer installs and use those employees to go fix all the hacked systems. His company was sued. Then they did the normal corporate reaction. Fingers were pointed, scapegoats were created, innocent people were fired. Most restaurants' kids' portions are actually the same size as the regular portions, but made with different ingredients / plated differently to look smaller. Where I work, the kids' pasta is pen and the adult is fettuccine, but they have the same sauce and portion size, but in different bowls. Kids is $12 with a side and dessert. Adult is $22. In my state, and many others, only one person in the room needs to know they are being recorded. Fun fact, this is one of the only state laws that travels over state lines. My father is a lawyer in a state where recording without consent is legal. He told me about a case he had where he had a very in-depth conversation with a defendant's lawyer over the phone, which he recorded. The defendant and his lawyer were both living in a different state where recording without consent is illegal, and were both pretty surprised to learn that the recordings, which were pretty damning, could be used as evidence in court. Apparently it was a pretty easy case for him. At Chuck E. Cheese you can get unlimited tickets. By holding the end of the second ticket you feed into the ticket counter and pull it back and forth. It doesn't pay attention to unique codes, so it will continue to count the same ticket over and over. I was balling on kids turning 500 tickets into 10k, walking out in slow motion with Macklemore pops and tags playing in my head as my theme song. Wasn't me but a friend who was an engineer on a Navy nuclear missile sub. Apparently while at sea one of the officers was inadvertently told both combinations to the launch code safes. Nobody is supposed to know both. He told the captain, and they had to return to port as soon as possible. Ammonium nitrate is the main ingredient in fertilizer, and it is extremely explosive. It was used in the Oklahoma City bombing for example. I believe the Unabomber also used it. For any would-be revolutionaries, you should know that both consumer and industrial grade fertilizers are heavily monitored. That's why the previously mentioned bombings are the last you've heard about. For an idea of how powerful of an explosive ammonium nitrate is, just search Beirut explosion on YouTube. 1. You have a highly illegal substance, DMT, in your brain right now. So do most living things, including plants. 2. You can extract the most powerful psychedelic known to man from easily obtained plants, Mimosa hostilis and Acacia confusa to name a few, with relative ease and ingredients found at your local hardware store. 3. You are allowed to use psychedelics if you intend union with God. You are protected by the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993. Here is the case of a church union of the plants suing the federal government for confiscating their DMT, Schedule 1 substance, and winning. The M on the M&M candy is paper. I used to work in a mailroom. UPS, USPS. FedEx drivers are totally allowed to mark a package delivered and leave it on the truck to be delivered tomorrow. There's nothing any company sending you stuff can do about it. I've learned about this many times over. A significant percentage of my deliveries show up a day or two after the tracking system says they were delivered. As annoying as it is though, I know it's not usually the driver's fault, but the delivery company overpromising speed and holding drivers responsible when that speed isn't possible. I don't know if it still works, since I rarely use snail mail these days, but many years ago I'd read something somewhere that said, if you put a 2-cent stamp on an envelope and write first class mail in red, it would be delivered, no matter what the actual current price of postage was. I tried it a few times just for chuckles, back when postage was 22 cents per letter, and it worked. Over the years I continued to try it, thinking that maybe it was because of the 2 in the current rate that made the letters pass through the machinery, but it continued to work for many postal rate increases. Point not that I once sent out all of my Christmas cards with 2-cent stamps or anything. You can go to Boston, knock on the door of any family that have teens kids, work out a deal to marry their 12, 13, 14, etc. year-old child with the parents, and no one can stop you. Everyone that has invented a car run on water has died not too long after it was revealed. Over every 20-year period in the history of the stock market, people who invest in the SP 500 are 100% likely to have made money. Lesson: put money away regularly, and when you're in your 40s, you'll be on the right path to retire comfortably. I found out Jennifer Garner's address because I drive past her neighborhood on my way to work every day. No, I won't share it, but I will say she has very good taste in neighborhoods and very large security cameras out front. If you connect to a Wi-Fi connection, and it won't load certain websites because there is a blocker on there. If you have a VPN like Tunnel Bear, you can bypass that blocker and view what you want. If you turn off 3 specific routers, the entire internet goes down, and to get access to those things you would very likely be able to just walk in wearing a hard hat and a clipboard.